hear me? No? It's looking really low on my thing for some reason. Hang on, I'll try turning it up. Right. Hello, and welcome to another SCOUTCAST brought to you by Fantasy Football Scout. As always, you are joined by me, Andy, FPL Mode, and you should be able to hear me clearly now. We are also joined by the lovable Rich. How's it going, Rich?
Yeah, good. A lot better than I was the other day. So thanks for rescuing deadline dilemmas to you and Seb.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, and
Yeah.
obviously, yeah, we missed you on that one, bud. It was weird streaming with Praz, but yeah, we missed you. It would have been good to have you on there, bud.
Yeah, it would have been nice. It would have
Yeah,
been nice, but yeah, I was a bit under the weather. I feel like I've been ill a lot recently, ill or in Vegas, but
yeah.
I'm at 100% now, unlike my FPL team.
And you passed it on to Seb.
Apparently so. Apparently so. Like I don't
Yeah.
actually know what's wrong with Seb.
No.
I hope it's not the same thing, or he'll come back a little lighter.
Yeah, I know, bless him. Yeah, we've all missed kind of a few weeks recently, haven't we? I had it a couple of weeks ago, then you last week, Seb this week. It's not going good, but hopefully next week we'll be fighting on all cylinders, which would be good. Now, what a game week so far! It is still going at the moment. We've got Spurs and Chelsea on at the moment, and you can see that me and Rich might every now and again glance over at a screen to see the game, but yeah, it's not been a great game week so far. If you are kind of having an average game week, your score is between 20 and 30, I would say. And there are people that are lower than 20 as well. And even then, they're not getting as big a red arrow as you would normally would with that kind of a score. So it's been a horrific game week so far for some people. So we're going to have a little look. We're going to have a little look at our points. We're going to have a look at fixtures coming up. We're leaving it a little bit kind of open-ended today because there's quite a few topics we want to talk about. We don't have too many screens because Seb's not here and because the game week's still going on as well because it's been an awful game week. We're going to still have our overs or unders and then we're going to have a look at our best teams before a bit of a Q&A at the end as well. So quite a few people saying Az is on 12.
Is he actually?
Dear, yeah. I
Oh,
think he's got triple Spurs left, but yeah, I think he's on 12. And he's got Udogie as well, who's obviously playing, which I was surprised at. I didn't know he was going to be playing. So yeah, he's on 12 by the sounds of things. So before we get going, just a quick reminder that if you sign up to Fantasy Football Scout membership, you get 20% off at the moment. There's fully interactive Opta-powered tools and tables. There's instant match day data, season points projections, which we use every week, team transfer planner, and drafts from the best fantasy managers. Even Rich. So let's move on to our points. Here it is. This is what you've all been waiting for. 39 points for me so far this week. That's right, up to the top 500k. I'll talk you through my team. So I've got Areola with 1, Simicast with 1, Cash with 0, Mitchell with 15 points. Oh. I even texted you guys, didn't I, with the update saying, "Is this real? Is this real? Is he actually
you texted
scored?"
just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wondered why my phone was going so crazy. I thought the games had
Oh.
ended.
But it doesn't stop there. I had Bowen with 7, Gordon with 7, Saka with 2, Son's playing now, Salah with 2, Watkins with 2, and Haaland captain with 2. Obviously, Doku went absolutely crazy. But look, I had Archer on the bench with 9, Taylor with 1, Burn with 1, Turner with 0. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. When you get a defender that scores a goal and it's in a week like this where it is so low scoring, you would not believe 39 points was my best game week of the season. But there you go. I mean, what's to be said, Rich? Lucky as anything having Mitchell.
There's a lot
wasn't
to
it?
be said. There's a lot
Yeah.
to be said. I mean, I mentioned before we came on, but I've seen some people mention like they've done the Twitter thing. They've listed all these players like these are the highest scoring players in the game week. Nobody owns these players. I'm like, yeah, and
Oh,
Andy does.
yeah, I know.
Also, that Gordon goal is very, very controversial. And you had to
What?
sweat for 4 minutes.
I
What was
did.
it 4 minutes?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, my
Oh,
phone was on charge. Otherwise, I'd have been messaging you straight away. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, Mitchell, it was actually I was going to say it was a great pick, but it was a good you picked a Palace defender.
yeah.
You obviously got some stick for it,
Big time.
and it couldn't have paid off more.
Yeah.
But I have to say, you've had that. You had Colwell because I was feeling sorry for you a few weeks ago. You had Colwell who on Monday night got 12 points.
Yeah.
You had Mitchell who got 15, and I got called lucky
Started
because
with
do you remember
Saliba.
I spent 6.5 million on Robertson, and 1 week he got 11 points. So there's no more, I'm not feeling sorry for you anymore now. I'm happy for you, but I'm
Oh
not I'm
God.
not going to feel
I,
sorry
s-
for you.
I saw someone tweet as well saying something like, if your team's done well this week, it's an awful team. I was like, yes. Oh,
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, I know. I mean, to be fair, he was 1.3% owned at my rank, Mitchell. So to have that, and I saw on live FPL that he was Kulusevski goal. I saw on the thing that he was 1.3% owned. So of his 15 points, I got 14.8 something of him. I was lovely stuff. What can you do? It's lucky as I can't say anything else. It's just how it goes sometimes, isn't it? But yeah, I'll take it. Rich, let's have a look at your points.
I
Talk
have
us
to
through 'em.
know. I mean, I'm on 22 points,
Yeah,
and I mean, one question I got for you is obviously my top scorer at the moment is Maguire. He got 7 points.
yeah, I know.
Obviously, Seb has got Dallo, who I think he got booked quite late, so he went
He
from nine
did.
to 5 points.
Mm-hmm.
Sounded like Dolly Parton then. But I mean, how
And
did you
five.
feel? I mean, were you cursing me and Seb that we had Man United defenders? We
I
got clean sheets, and then you were stuck with just Mitchell.
Yeah, I know. I was sat in a soft play because I didn't watch the United game, so I was sat in a soft play, not by myself with the kids, obviously,
Of course.
and I was looking at the updates, and obviously Maguire should have gone off with his head injury, and I was thinking, how's he stayed on? And then at one point they were both sharing 3 bonus points. So I was thinking, oh god no, oh god no, and then obviously yeah, he's turned out to be your highest scoring player.
Imagine someone told me at 40 seconds into the game week that my highest scoring player would be Harry Maguire while he's lying on the ground. People are saying he's got a fractured cheekbone.
And I ruined you when you picked him. Do you remember we were on with Praz, weren't we? And I was like, you can't pick Maguire, come on.
No, I mean it saved me because well, it hasn't saved me, but I mean I'm on 22 points.
It has
Maguire's the
saved you.
highest scorer.
Yeah.
Um, but I look at the rest of the team. I mean Ariola in goal with 1. Maguire obviously got 7. Cash got none. Who I actually wanted to sell before this game week. I
You
think
did? Yeah, yeah.
it sounds yeah, I really did. Simicast with 1, Salah 2. Which I mean, let's get on to Salah against Haaland later, or just
Yeah.
avoid it altogether. Son and Palmer are playing right now. And Bumo got 5, so that's 3 returns in 3. Obviously, I've only got 2 of those returns.
Yeah.
Saka with 2, Watkins with 2, who was another I looked at selling for Darwin. Who was I going to sell for? Darwin or Wilson? I
Yeah.
was looking at. I mean, it would have been the same anyway. And then Haaland, captain with 2. The thing I'm pleased is I started Maguire over Taylor because that was neck and neck.
Yeah.
And the worst one was I had to start Pedro or Palmer. I actually went on Fantasy Football Scout. Neil does the predictions, and that's as in team predictions. He had Lallana to start over Pedro. I mean, he didn't sound 100% convinced, but I had to use something to decide me. So that's why I went for Palmer over Pedro.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Pedro's
So at
such a
least I got
weird
those
one.
right, or it would have been a lot less.
Pedro's such a weird one, isn't he? Because like I keep saying, if you've got him, you play him. Because if he's going to play, at least, you've got your player on penalties and it's Brighton. But he's not been a good asset to own, has he?
What Pedro?
Yeah,
I
not in
mean,
the last couple of weeks anyway.
I mean, I've started him in over 50% of the game weeks so far,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, obviously he's not been starting, and I'm not sure. I think Lallana coming back has obviously changed that, despite Welbeck being out.
Yeah.
But you look at Brighton recently; their results have been shocking in the league anyway, like absolutely shocking. You expect them to be blowing teams away, and they're not. So I do wonder. I mean, we've obviously got Europe on Thursday,
Yeah.
and then do they have to start try? I'm not saying they're not trying in the league, but do they have to start playing their best players? He said that Pedro and Fati were, in the best 11 on paper,
Yeah.
and neither of them are starting. So I'm holding out hope he's going to play. But I mean, part of me, you said if you've got him, you have to start him, and I did kind of feel like that last week.
Yeah.
But then I felt that was a flaw in itself, just because I've got him. If I
Yeah.
don't think he's going to play, especially, I mean, that fixture for Brighton's not as good as the Sheffield United one coming up.
Yeah. No, agreed. And obviously that's the big reason we're talking about Brighton quite a lot, and we will do in a bit as well when we bring up the fixtures, because they have quite some nice fixtures coming up and 2 very nice ones. So we have to kind of have a look at them at least. But it's just interesting with Pedro because they've got those players, and I think everybody straight away just thinking Matoma, but it's whether you can get those other players in. Obviously, Adingra was a player that people spoke about, but since we've started getting on him, it's kind of blown a bit colder now. But it's quite an interesting one to talk about. But we're going to talk about that when we bring it up. We do have Seb's points as well. Seb's points, so he had Johnson in goal with 9, Simicast with 1, Dallo with 6, Cash with 0, and Boomer with 5, Salah captain with 4. Son and Maddison, who are playing now, and then Saka, Darwin, and Watkins all with 2. I mean, at one point this weekend, when Haaland obviously went off at half time with 1 point, and City had scored 3 goals at half time.
Yep.
Was it 3 goals?
It's 3, yeah.
Everybody was just thinking, well, this is it, isn't it? Like, Haaland goes off, Salah against Luton. This is going to be all the non-Haaland owners' dreams, especially with triple Liverpool. And then obviously Darwin blanked, Salah blanked, and Simicats didn't even play.
Oh, no.
It's one of those weeks, isn't it, where a lot of our teams are quite template in terms of there's a definite core group of players, and they were all playing away this week, apart from City, and they've just all struggled, haven't they? And obviously Liverpool away from home at Luton, you wouldn't have predicted that. And for Haaland and Alvarez to get no returns and a 6-1 win for City, it's just one of those freak weeks, isn't it?
I mean, I remember it happened in last season. I think you sold Haaland as well around Christmas.
Yeah.
And City played Brentford in the lunchtime kickoff, and Haaland actually blanked. I didn't even own him then. I think I captained Salah.
I think I had Tony in that, didn't I?
You captained Tony.
No, I didn't. No,
you hadn't
captained.
You owned Tony. That was it. But I just remember waiting for that Liverpool game, thinking, "This is it. I'm finally going to get one up on the Haaland captainers." Obviously, this is the complete reverse of that.
Yeah.
And then I think Darwin scored a brace against Southampton, and Salah obviously blanked. So yeah, I mean, it is tough to take because I think Haaland owners are annoyed because obviously he's gone off injured in a massive win. But then obviously you're going to have the Salah owners who missed, and it is a huge opportunity. So I don't think anyone's going to be happy because for Haaland to blank in that game, and then you've got your captain against Luton, I think that's just as hard to take. So I think everyone's in the same boat there, unless they captained, I don't know, Maguire or Mitchell.
Yeah. No, it's just this was the weaker thing, especially with Haaland playing before Salah, where Haaland the people that sold Haaland thought, here we go. This is going to be massive now. And obviously, I mean, I say that, we've mentioned it, Seb, quite a few times where he's made his points up since selling Haaland anyway. So it's not like this was going to be the be all and end all. And lots of people own Salah now, but it did seem like this was the opportunity where people were waiting for. And obviously the one he's got the points against was United, which people thought was the tricky fixture out of their next 3. So it's weird how it happens, isn't it? But we'll talk about Haaland a little bit as well, because we're going to look at fixtures.
Because money's becoming every week, it seems like, and I'm sure we'll get onto this, but every week there's more and more cheap players arriving, as in more and more. And I think the argument to go without Haaland, like if you're a wild card in now, is almost non-existent because of that.
All right then. So you just brought that up, and I've brought up the fixtures already, right?
Okay.
And I messaged you, didn't I? Was it 2 days ago? I thought it was a goal. I messaged you, didn't I, 2 days ago, saying, "What do you think about ditching Haaland?" Because he's got Chelsea away, Liverpool at home, Spurs at home, and then Villa away. Then he's got 2 nice fixtures in game week 16, and I think most people that don't have Haaland are looking to get him in for 16 anyway. But that 4-week run, where you've got players like Darwin, who have got some very nice fixtures for those 4 weeks, that must be tempting. I mean, keeping your route to get Haaland back for game week 16, do you think it's silly now because the people that didn't get Haaland have kind of already got a march on it? Or do you think actually there is merit in doing this with, like you said, trying to get those funds are really tricky, and you could jump on a player like Darwin for a couple of weeks and kind of reap benefits? What do you think?
So yeah, I think when you messaged me, I thought it was because Haaland might be injured.
Yeah.
And obviously it looks like, Haaland, all accounts say he has trained today. Mm-hmm. So I just think if you haven't got wild card left, which I guess you haven't unless you're going to wild card in game week 19, not game week 18. I just don't see a reason to do it because I think there's going to be so much planning for that blank and then potential double. So to come off of Haaland, you'll then want to redistribute the funds. Otherwise, there's no point doing it. Mm-hmm. And then you'll have to redistribute the funds again to get him back. So I think if you want Darwin that desperately, you could look at the Watkins to Darwin move. Mm-hmm. I guess the only problem is that you've got Villa at home now. So Villa are actually, if you just look at home games, Villa are actually top of the league. If you look at away games, they're horrific. So I don't really see the benefit. I think it's just too many transfers.
Yeah, and you look if you kept Watkins for this week, which is Fulham at home, obviously Liverpool have Brentford at home, but then if you sold Watkins for Spurs away, which is fine, Liverpool have Man City away. So I don't think you're going to be getting Darwin in that week, are you?
No,
in
no.
13.
I think if you want to go for Darwin, I think Watkins is the route to Darwin.
Yeah,
I don't think I don't know. I like Watkins. I like Darwin. I'm really sitting on the fence here.
yeah.
I like Wilson as well. I like all
Mm.
of them. It just is it worth the transfer? And I think that's why I didn't do Watkins to Darwin last week. Was just I just decided is it actually a massive upgrade?
Yeah.
Probably not. The only thing it does is I guess it frees up a bit of funds. So I'd
Mm.
much rather sell Watkins than Haaland.
No,
Which
fair
I
enough.
mean it sounds pretty obvious, really.
Well, I mean, if we look at the fixtures then for the next
Yeah,
4 or 5 weeks, the two teams that really really stick out for me are Arsenal and Brighton. And I've looked, so I rolled last week because I wanted in my head to have as much manoeuvrability as possible to try and get an Arsenal or Brighton player. Trying to get an Arsenal and Brighton player, it sounds a hell of a lot easier than it is, but actually, who on earth do you get? Because Arsenal, I think defensively they're not too bad, but which defender would you go for? I'm assuming it's Saliba.
Lieber than
Attacking,
Gabriel. Yeah,
attacking wise, they're not impressing me with their XG so far this season. They're not impressing me with what they're creating, the goals they're scoring. Obviously, we've got Saka, and he's not massively been impressive me, but at least he's on penalties. The fixtures are definitely nice moving forward. Nketiah's obviously emerged, but do you break the bank to try and get him in as your third striker if you've already got Haaland and Watkins? I'm asking you quite a few questions there, but what's your take on Arsenal in terms of which assets would you be trying to get in and how much would you be trying to get them in this week?
yeah. I mean, this is something I've been thinking about. And
Mm,
funnily enough, I'm like zero point 0.1 or zero point 0.2 short of the third one that I'd want.
who's
So
that?
I've got Gabriel,
Yeah.
and I'd like to get Saliba, but if I
Mm-hmm.
sell cash, I can't get to Saliba. So he'd be my priority.
Yeah.
Now, and obviously because of that, I can't afford Ben White. I mean, I could afford Zinchenko, but that feels like a huge, huge risk. We've seen him subbed at half time. We've seen
Yeah.
him not starting.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like there's more nail players in other teams. So I think Gabriel and Saliba are fine if you can afford them.
Mm-hmm.
Nketiah, that's one where I mean, I'm trying to think who would go there. I think some Yao Pedro owners might
Mm-hmm.
consider it. I'm not. I just think there's enough upside with Pedro this week against Sheffield United on penalties. Sorry to keep talking about Pedro,
No,
um,
it's fine.
but so I do prefer him to Nketiah at the moment. Obviously, if I was picking from scratch, maybe I'd go Nketiah.
It's so tough not to have that upside with him. Like, he's got Burnley, Brentford, Wolves, and Luton in the next four. Even if he only plays two or three of those, surely the upside's there to go with him. I mean, the thing I'm finding really tough is if I do go Nketiah, who do I bench out of my 8 that I've got? And obviously, I'm not going to want to be benching any of my midfielders, and I'm not going to be wanting to bench Watkins or Haaland, especially next week. It's really tough to try and get him in, and this is what I'm finding. And then I'm thinking, actually, is it better to just go for a defender?
I think that's one difference between like you look at like say the again team like mine, the Pedro wildcard is in game week 10, and then you look at people who wildcard in game week 8 who've probably got Archer,
Mm-hmm.
and I know a lot of people who wildcard in 10 have Archer as well. I think those teams are set up with 5 good midfielders who
Yeah,
all had good fixtures. Whereas I think people who went for someone like Pedro or like Praz who went for Nketiah, they've got Palmer.
yeah,
And that's quite a nice rotation. As in, I think you can bench because Chelsea have got a few tough fixtures coming up. So I think he's an easier bench.
mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're going to be bringing in Nketiah, say you upgrade from Archer to Nketiah, then you're benching a good
Yeah,
midfielder. I
exactly.
think that's just a waste of a transfer and you're sucking money out of your team
Yeah, that's the
when
big
you're,
thing. Is
yeah.
trying to get that money to go to that third striker is
And
really
what,
tough.
and obviously we talked briefly on like game week 18, for example, but what players do you have in your mind that you 100% want that player in your team before 18? Because I think that list is getting longer and longer, like
Well,
for a lot of people.
I mean, the Villa and Spurs players have to be top, really, because they've got Everton at home and Sheffield United at home, respectively. So I feel like they have to kind of be in there. And I'm assuming a lot of people will have Chelsea players because their fixtures are so nice after 16 as well. So I would have said those players are a Villa and Spurs in particular because they're probably the top captaincy candidates. So you've got to have like your Son, probably Watkins back or something like that. But
Yeah.
I think you've probably got to have those. But then I suppose, like you said, Arsenal have got who have they got Liverpool away in that week.
I probably worded it badly there as well because I meant more like say in Bumo, for example.
Oh right, okay,
Like you're gonna probably a lot of people are talking about getting in Bumo, just as
yeah,
an example. There's people talking about getting like a Chelsea player, whether it's Palmer, whether
mm-hmm.
it's Colwill, Reece James, whoever, Sterling maybe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you have like a list like you're going to go for Mbumo in this week? You're going to, or not? Do you not have this long list?
Well, my long list is, but it's just been rotating the midfielders. So it's been like, do
Yeah.
I? Because obviously in Boom I do want, but I don't actually fancy him that much until 14, where he's got Luton at home. So it's looking at kind of jumping on a midfielder for 2 weeks and then getting to Mbumo in 14. Although I do own Bowen, so moving a Bowen for it to Mbumo might make sense in 14. But it's obviously, like you said, if I've got Mbumo, then all of a sudden I've got a player that's going to blank in the 18 again, and I'm starting to get less players for 18. But
Yeah.
it's interesting. I'm finding it a lot tougher than I thought it was using these transfers. But then we've also got defenders that are dropping as well. Like Burn and Cash both look injured now. I don't know whether there's been an update on Cash this week.
Cash, someone on Twitter, and I can't remember who, found there was a Polish
Oh,
journalist who.
Sterling goal, by the way.
No, he's not.
Yeah, yeah.
I should have never wildcarded.
No, I know. Yeah, genuinely Sterling goal. Yeah.
I'm very happy for him. I've completely lost my train of thought.
So Cash.
That's ruined my night. I'm just going to go. No, so Cash apparently is okay.
Right.
As in, I don't know if that means okay as in his arm's still attached, or okay as in he's completely fine. So it's one to monitor, but yeah. And then
Sorry, Carrie, I was looking who got the assist. I was just looking for the. I think it might have been Colwill.
I want to put the game on, but I also don't want to be distracted.
No, I don't. Carry on, carry on. I'm bad. I'm doing the wrong thing here.
That's right. Yeah. So Arsenal, we've gone for Arsenal, and then I guess it's Brighton assets as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't pick a goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just on the Arsenal, for example, I don't think people are looking at goalkeepers, but obviously Raya can't play against Brentford, which off the top of my head is game week 13.
Yeah.
So now with Turner being dropped, I don't know what combo Seb's got actually. I don't know if he's got Raya in turn.
Johnston and Raya, I think, yeah.
Okay, he's done well there,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brighton, you can't pick the goalkeepers. Defenders, I think because Estupinan's not back, apparently Lamptey, because obviously he's cheap at least.
Yeah, yeah.
Lamptey's a doubt for Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the only option really there is Dunk. Now, I've been looking at him, but he's 5 million.
Yeah.
But then I think it's Wrangler on Twitter. He sent me to one of his visualizations, and like Dunk had the most shots from set pieces and like across the whole season. He's right up there, just ahead of, I think it was ahead of Carlton Morris. So he's a good option. It's just a shame he's 5 million when all the defenders are, so cheap at the moment.
I think I'd still quite like a Crystal Palace defender if you didn't have one already as well. Because
over a Brighton one.
Yeah, I think so. I fancy Palace for clean sheets whenever I see them play, whereas I really don't fancy Brighton for clean sheets whenever I see them play.
The thing with a Brighton defender is, say you went for one this week, you get Sheffield United at home, which is, I know Brighton haven't kept a clean sheet all season, but that's as close to a banker as you're going to get.
Yeah.
Then they do have good fixtures. Then in game week 18, funny enough, they play Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Which seems like a better defense. I know that's obviously a vicious local derby.
Yeah.
But it seems like a better clean sheet chance for Brighton, even though they're away.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I mean, you wouldn't fancy Palace keeping a clean sheet against Brighton, for example.
No, true. Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, defenders, we've said this all year. Our goal was disallowed, by the way. We've been saying this all year, that trying to get defenders that are worth anything is really, really tough. I think Arsenal defenders are probably quite nice to hold now for quite a while, aren't they? Because even through game week 16 to 18, you can play them in the blank. I know they've got tricky fixtures, but then from game week 19 onwards, they've got nice fixtures again. So I think an Arsenal defender to own now looks like a good idea.
It's the price. It's the price and the rotation and
4.8.
Gabriel must be, yeah, he's 4.8. Saliba's 5.3. I want to say
that's quite a lot.
Which is expensive because, like I said, I can't get from Cash to Saliba, and that's, I mean, funny enough, that's the same price as Reece James, for example. Mm-hmm. And I know we're not going to go Reece James now.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's much bigger upside in someone like James than Saliba. So I kind of actually do regret not going down the Raya route. I think there was a lot of risk because of game week 13. I think it's Brentford. But I mean, you've got a really cheap way into the defence there. Obviously, there's the small chance of Ramsdale coming back as well, which I think was a problem in 10 anyway. So I do like I like the idea of an Arsenal defender. But when you actually look at it, I mean, imagine you went Gabriel. Imagine some of you like me and you got Gabriel and you can only afford Zinchenko.
Yeah.
That seems like a painful way to do it, doesn't it? Having Gabriel, Zinchenko, and Tsimikas.
Yeah. I see. I also don't like the idea of you losing cash. I've looked at it so much, and I'm just like, I just don't think that's something that I would want to do. Like, especially
But
where obviously he's got the upside. He
fixtures,
plays like a winger, but the fixtures aren't that bad. Like, he's got Bournemouth in 14. Yes, in 15 and 16 it's not nice, but he's got a nice fixture in 17. He plays against. He's got the best fixture in the whole week in game week 18, which is the blank, and then after 19 he's got lovely fixtures for quite a while then as well. So I think I'd be holding him. I don't see him as an immediate sell.
if we look at though that, let's say it's fact that they're way better at home than they are away, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's like a really small sample. So yeah, this week against Fulham, that's obviously a good fixture. The next good home fixture is literally in the blank, the one you
yeah.
mentioned in Sheffield United, which is ages away.
Mm,
Like it really is a long, long time away. There's been little risks over his minutes here and there anyway. I know he went off injured yesterday or he had that
yeah,
shoulder knock, but it's not like it hasn't happened before. I mean, he was very lucky the week before that he got subbed off early,
yeah.
which, protected his
Just a
clean
bit.
sheet.
Yeah,
It doesn't look like he's going to play right. He was playing like right wing, wasn't he, earlier in the season? That doesn't seem to be happening. And yeah, I'm just quite low on him. I think the fixtures are bad enough. I mean, you say they're not that bad. They got City and Arsenal back to back in
yeah. They
15
do.
and
Yeah, they
16.
do. Yeah, yeah,
I think Bournemouth away and Brentford away aren't great. That bookend, the
yeah,
City and Arsenal fixture. I mean, yeah, game week 18 is good, but you could lose quite a lot of points really if you just hold. I mean, he's my most expensive defender as well.
yeah.
So I don't think he deserves to be my most expensive defender.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I don't hate the Brighton move. It's just a shame Estupinan's obviously injured because I think he'd be starting to creep into a lot more teams again, wouldn't he? Because those,
I think, yeah,
three lovely home fixtures in the next 5 weeks is obviously something that needs to be looked at. But yeah, so I don't hate it.
be
It's
more
just
than creep into people's teams.
yeah. I mean,
Like, a lot.
the other thing I suppose I need to discuss is Newcastle because Newcastle looks like Burns out for 2 to 3 months, and it sounds like a back issue, which doesn't sound like it's something that's going to be good moving forward. I think Caicedo's just scored, by the way.
Oh yes.
Yeah, screamer. Genuinely as well. I'm not making that up.
Oh
But Newcastle, we've obviously got. Oh, it's offside. We've obviously got.
wait, what? How's a screamer offside? Oh,
I
it's not
think
outside the
I
box.
think it might have got deflection.
Oh, okay.
But we're obviously looking at what's his name, Livramento, that could play right back and Trippier play left back. We could be looking at Lewis Hall that could be playing left back as well. We got Lascelles that's there too. Do you see some value there? I know obviously the fixtures aren't there for Newcastle. So if you look at Newcastle's fixtures, they got Bournemouth away this week, then Chelsea at home, Man United at home, Everton away. But then they do have a nice run from 17 onwards. So would you just invest in Newcastle, who their underlying stats definitely look good defensively, but their fixtures aren't quite there?
I would love to have a nailed Newcastle defender. I just couldn't afford one when I wildcarded. And yes, but I think the problem is you look at a lot of defenses now. Like a lot of people have got Gabriel.
Hmm.
I know you don't. Maybe this is more game week 10 wildcarders
Yeah.
or people who wanted a cheap Arsenal defender who was nailed. They've got like Gabriel, then they've got Simicast. It's just like, yeah, what then you chuck like a Livramento in there as well.
Yeah, it seems
And
very
you've got
risky, doesn't it?
three rotation prone players. I mean, Charlie Taylor, I know he scored last week, but there's talk, that in January maybe Burnley would look at someone to replace Charlie Taylor. I don't know,
Mm.
how true that is, but it just feels very. And also players like Maguire. We're fitting a lot of these cheap players in
Yeah.
who are rotation prone. But if all of your players are that, it's really really risky.
You could have a week, couldn't you? That's like you've just had
Like
this
this,
week.
well,
And you could have a week
this week, yeah. But you could
exactly.
have this week where not everyone's got the same defense because I think
Yeah.
we're going to see a lot more, people moving away from stuff. So I think that's the reason I don't really like Livramento or
Cool.
Hall.
I'm
I
gonna
think I
make you
want to
stick.
see it play out.
I'm going to make you stick your neck out then and say who's your favourite Newcastle defensive asset if you had to go for one now. If you wanted to move off Burn and go for one because you like their underlying stats defensively, who would you be going for?
I mean, I like Trippier. To be honest, the wing backs are going to be popular. Like, there's
Yeah.
going to be a lot of discussion over it. I think I'd rather, and we need Muse on Botman, go for Lascelles.
Hmm.
Like, it's a lot more boring.
Cheaper.
It's cheaper, but you would assume he's going to be nailed. I mean, it
Mm.
sounds like he's playing really well.
Yeah.
So, and he is a Newcastle legend as well. So you can imagine if he keeps playing, well enough, he's going to keep playing. So until obviously Botman's back. So I'd go for Lascelles if I wanted to go there. I mean, the fixtures do get good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I haven't ruled out going back for Trippier. I haven't ruled it out at all.
God, I just couldn't afford that. I don't think. Um,
It would need something big to happen. It would
I,
need something big to happen, but
I think it's really tough. Straight away, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to get Livramento then," because I thought he looked really good against Arsenal, and I thought he did really well against Martinelli, and I thought it was really good to see that he did well against one of the best wingers in the league. But it was very interesting, obviously, watching him go right back and Trippier go left back. But Trippier's played left back for England a few times as well, hasn't he? He played there a few times when we had Walker right back, wasn't it? And he does
yep.
fine there, but obviously it really hurts him going forward. But I would stick my neck out and say I think Livramento is going to be playing the majority of games moving forward.
To be honest, it sounds like that is going to be the case, but
Yeah.
I think it's just the fact we've been gifted SCOUTCAST, who we've just come off a benching with him. We're
Yeah.
only a week removed from like Gabriel. There's other defenders as well. I mean, Cash has gone off injured. It just makes me think I want at least one or two defenders I know are going to play every week.
Yeah,
There
that's
is going to
fair.
be a danger of here's another 4.2 gift. Here's this player, he's 4 million, and they could all be good assets, individually.
Yeah.
But just imagine that week where 3 or 4 of them get benched, or the backup or the player they're replacing comes back from injury,
Yeah.
unsurprisingly, and you've got all these defenders that are like at 4.2 million, 4.1 million. I
All of a
mean, what are
sudden,
you?
you've got
What
so
are
many
you?
fires to put out.
Yeah, I mean, you can't fix that in 1 week. Even if you've got 2 free transfers, you could be at the. Yeah, I just think it could be like it could work out really well. I remember a few seasons ago, there was a guy who was top of FPL and he had all the 3.9 and 4 million defenders. I know Kelly was one, Lundstrom was one, and he was top by quite a long way.
Yeah.
But eventually it all fell apart.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't actually know where he
And
finished, but I
and
think that was partly it. If you haven't got a wild card,
that's
you
it. Yeah.
could really get stuck.
Yeah, because moving them out, like we're finding that already with someone like Byrne, who I think was 4.3
Mhm.
when I got him in. Like it's impossible to replace. It feels impossible to replace him.
Was he
And
4.3 when you got him?
I think that's what he was. Yeah, 4.3,
Whoa.
4.4.
Because he was 4.7 when I was looking on wild card.
Yeah,
I couldn't.
yeah, he went up considerably when I got
Wow.
because I got him in 8, and I got him in on the Saturday, and I think he kept on going up since then.
It's like
Could
Bitcoin.
be a Palmer pen, by the way. Um,
If Sterling nicks it off
oh,
Palmer.
and a red card for Romero.
Is it actually?
Yeah, it actually is. Yeah, red card for Romero, Palmer pen.
I should put this on if you.
Yeah.
But I like your commentary.
No, I know. This is like Champ Mondays, mate. Right, let's have a look then. We got some over-unders now. Now, I showed it on Twitter. I haven't put it on the stream, but I did have an over-under that was purely Tyreek Mitchell, but I thought we better not go for that. That was
I
feral.
wish you hadn't.
Feral.
I wish you hadn't tweeted that and just put it
I
on the
know.
screen.
It would have been good. Although I think it would have been better with Seb here as well.
I was going to say if it's just me,
Yeah.
there'd be onus on me to laugh a lot.
Right, so over-unders. So obviously it's just going to be Rich, but he's going to talk to us about what he thinks for these players moving forward. First up is Doku. Obviously he had a incredible game week this week. 22 points, 4 assists and a goal. He's got Chelsea away, Liverpool at home and Spurs at home up next. I've put him as 9.5 because, and I'm going to explain why, and that's because he's got 3 really tough fixtures up next, and Pep seems to play Grealish in those fixtures, and I'm worried that Doku won't even play. So I've put him as 9.5. What do you think, over or under?
So this is hard because I've read a lot of stuff, from the City predictors, and I know you're going to be watching. Is it still at VAR?
Is it what? No. It's all done. It's definitely a Palmer pen, and Romero's
Okay.
off. Yeah,
And Palmer's taking it, not Sterling.
Palmer's taking it. Yeah.
I'm going to have to turn this on in a second.
Oh, I hope he misses it.
No, this is what. Oh, all right. I'm just going to talk about Doku and try and not look at your eyes. This
Go on, then.
is very, very off-putting. I
Go
can't
on,
just
go
be
on,
silent,
go on.
can I? This is
Go
this
on.
is going out as a podcast as well. Anyway,
Yeah, I know.
Doku. There's a lot of people saying that.
Oh.
No, he's not.
The keeper got a hand to it, hit the post, and went in. Carry on.
Don't do that to me.
Well, I thought he missed. I thought he got saved.
I was going to turn
Anyway,
it on, but I didn't want to jinx it.
This is such a
All
good
right.
podcast.
So Palmer scored. Oh, okay, yeah, he has.
Yeah. So Doku.
I'm nearly on 30 points, Andy.
Oof.
Sorry, that was really unprofessional to pause for that long.
Yeah.
So Doku, there's been a lot of arguments that he's basically going to play in the easier games and not in the harder games when they want control, for someone like Grealish. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I mean, I think 9.5's low enough with 2 home games and an away game to think that Doku's going to go above 9.5. So I think I'm going to go with an over there.
Yeah. Okay.
But I
Fair
don't know
enough.
how to judge his minutes. Like, I'm sure there's going to be persuasive arguments either way. Also, I mean, I guess one thing with that is he actually then going to be. What do you think about this? Is he actually going to be? He's just come off this game where, to be honest, his expected goal involvement was quite similar to Haaland
Yeah.
in double the minutes. But I mean, he's not going to be rewarded with 3 straight Premier League benchings, is he?
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I think he'll play some of the games, obviously, and he'll get the minutes. Shout out, by the way, to Adam from Above Average, who sold Doku for a
Just leave him
-8,
alone.
for a -8, and obviously he sold Doku, bless him.
I went to DM him to
Yeah.
say sorry about what happened, and for some reason in January I just sent him a photo of a kebab, and he'd never replied. And that's the only time we'd spoken in DMs.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Szoboszlai's up next. No, not Szoboszlai, sorry. Darwin is
that's
up
Darwin.
next.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry. 13.5 I've given him. He's got Brentford at home, Man City away, Fulham at home. How he didn't get a brace at the weekend, I have no idea. But 13.5 for him, what do you think?
over. Yeah, over. There's Fulham at home there. It's 2 home games. This City away, you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, surely he's going to go over. And Seb
Yeah.
won't talk to me again if I say under.
No, very true.
I wonder what Seb would say for these.
I know what he's going to say for the next one. Tyrick Mitchell, I've got his 13.5. He's got Everton at home, Luton away, West Ham away. What do you think? I mean, 13.5. I could have doubled that, couldn't I? He got that last week, 13.5.
Right, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going under. I'm going under.
How dare you?
I can't believe he's
13.5.
gone over in one game.
I'm going 20.5 for him at least, and that's just
You know
against
what?
Everton.
I haven't looked at his stats. To be honest, I did look at the Palace defenders as a whole,
Yeah,
and none of them were impressive. as in, that's why I think that's why it's so quite funny, because obviously a lot of people have gone for Anderson because he's been getting the returns, but really, it's kind of like, when I picked Pinnock, and there wasn't really a reason why I picked Pinnock. It was just like, I'll just go for Pinnock. Like, be honest, was that why you went for Mitchell?
no.
Or was there something you'd seen?
No, he was a wing back for Palace
Yeah.
in a team that had nice fixtures and they were playing well defensively. And I just thought I'd go Mitchell. I know a lot of people slammed me when I first did it because of Gahey. The thing is, it doesn't mean it's a good decision just because he scored a 94th minute goal. Obviously, it's nice that it happened, and obviously he's low owned, but it's just luck, isn't it? But I wanted a Palace defender. So
what actually makes it funnier is he was injured, wasn't it? As in, he was flagged.
he was, yeah. I didn't have him playing.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was fit. So I posted my team saying, Taylor's playing. And
Imagine you benched him.
yeah, I know. And then and quite a few people DM me and commented saying, no, he's fit now, he's fit. I was like, oh, brilliant, I'll put him in. Anyway, really interesting one next is Kudus. So he's did well at the weekend. 14.5 I predicted him at the moment. He's got Forest at home, Burnley away, Palace at home. Very nice fixtures. Looks like he could be starting a little bit more now. Antonio's been awful. He could even be playing up front. What do you think? 14.5.
I mean, he's not going to score against Mitchell, is he? So that's
That's
immediately
true.
That's immediately
true.
a 2-pointer.
Yeah.
So can he get 12.5 in the other 2 games? I'm assuming he's now going to start every game, but will it be every game or will it be more games?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go under on that one. I think that's.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
I could be proven. With that one, I could be proven very wrong because from memory, he should have scored instead of Bowen as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like him as a pick. I think he could be very interesting.
I like him.
Nice fixtures as well.
I just think it's wanting to see. Well, it's ironic considering the player who's coming up next.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I'd like to see a consistent run of a player playing.
So Pedro's up next.
Yep.
I've got him as 9.5. He's got Sheffield United at home. I mean, that fixture alone is absolutely beautiful. Forest away, Chelsea away, 9.5. I mean, that should easily be over, shouldn't it?
It could be over this week if he starts. So I mean, I'm very biased here. I'm going to go over. I mean, the funny thing was he was consistently over a very short period of time. He started in a couple of league games. He started in Europe and scored, and then he's not started since.
Yeah.
So he's bound to start at least 2 of those. So yeah, I think that's an easy over for me.
Yeah. And last one, Saliba. I've got him as 12.5. He's got Burnley at home, Brentford away, Wolves at home. 12.5. Obviously, that's thinking maybe 2 clean sheets there. What do you think?
Yeah, I can see 2 clean sheets there as well.
Mm.
But then it's like, say there's a 50% chance of a clean sheet against Burnley and Wolves, lower against Brentford because that's away as well. I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna go under, even though I feel like I should go over. I'm,
Okay. Okay.
I'm,
No,
I'm
that's fine.
yeah, I'm gonna go under.
Okay. I would go slightly over there, I think. But I do like, I think Saliba's a good pick
So you
moving
think they're
forward, obviously.
what? Because they'd definitely get
Yeah.
the two
Because he's
cleans. I mean, I guess there's obviously
not only
bonus
definitely
points.
get the yeah, and I think
Yeah,
he's going to get the 6 for playing all 3, and then it's just whether he gets the extra 8 for those 2 clean sheets. But I think he's good for the 2 clean sheets there. Right, moving on to our bus teams then. So this is how I'm looking for the week. So I've got 2 free transfers. So I've got Areola in goal, Simicus, Mitchell, hero, Cash, then Bowen, Saka, Gordon, Son, and Salah, with Watkins and Haaland up top. Captaincy, I haven't decided yet, if I'm perfectly honest. I don't think I'm going to be captain in Haaland. So it's whether it's Salah or Watkins, or it could even be Saka. But I don't think Saka is where I'll be going. I think I'll probably end up with it just being on Salah, but Watkins is tempting considering he's at home. So it's between those two, probably. It's probably between Salah and Watkins for me. But I've got 2 free transfers, so it's really tough. I've got Cash, Burn, and Haaland all flagged, but I'm expecting Haaland not to be flagged by the time we kick off. Burn, I could take out because he's out for 2 to 3 months. I don't see the point in keeping him, and I could easily move him to someone like Lascelles or Livramento if I wanted to go for someone like that. Cash, I think I'll keep. I think that's fine. So it's what I do with the money, really. 2 free transfers. I thought I was going to be using both this week and getting an Arsenal or Brighton player in. I looked at getting Nketiah. It's really tough to do that. Matoma, I don't want to sell any of my midfielders this week. And I can't go from Gordon straight to Matoma anyway. And I don't want to be losing Bowen for this run. I'm a little bit stuck. I mean, you're looking at it. What would you do? Would you use both 3 transfers? Would you just do what I'm doing and just get Burn? Get rid of Burn? What would you do?
the funny thing is, and it's ironic because of his name, but you might have been considering burning a transfer if it wasn't for the injury there. I think I'll do burn to someone.
Yeah.
And then if they're better this week than Cash, you play them over Cash. Otherwise, you just bring someone in like, for the long term. But yeah, I think bringing in cheap. So I can see looking at your team why you'd consider going for like a cheap Newcastle defender.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it also depends on future weeks. So you're going to then have 2 free transfers going into the next game week, hopefully.
Yeah.
As long as Haaland and Cash are okay.
I think that's the play, to go in with 2 free transfers into the next week as well.
I guess it depends how much money. How much money do you have in the bank again? Was it none?
I don't think there's any. If I do, it's like 0.1 or something.
Yeah. Because I mean, I guess it depends
0.1.
if you need the money. Like if there's some plan you could do next week, because I know you might be looking at a Boomer in a few weeks. Maybe you could do burn to like the sales.
Well, I could get rid of like a Gordon or a Bowen after this week. Burn I can sell for 4.6, so I've got 4.7 to spend.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd probably go for a Newcastle. You can't really go. Well, I mean, you can't afford Dunk, for example,
or Arsenal, I suppose, isn't it? How much? Oh no, because Gabriel
can't get an Arsenal. You probably can't afford Gabriel because I think that would have been another obvious one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then you get into the situation which kind of similar to mine, where I mean, I can do a lot more with 2 free transfers. As in, if I bring, someone else out as well. Like if you did Cash and Burn, Cash and Burn, that'd be a good team name, wouldn't it? Cash and Burn. Yeah, but if you did like Burn to Lascelles or something, then you could get Cash up to someone decent. Like, well, you could go up to Saliba. You wouldn't even know to go that far down with Burn. But then you've only got 1 transfer next week, and then obviously we talk about like a Boomo and all that in future weeks. So it's tough, but I think Burn being injured is definitely not a bad thing for you.
Yeah,
because I don't see what you'd have done otherwise. You couldn't have got to Nketiah easily, and you wouldn't be able to bench anyone.
I think I move him down and free up funds. I think that's what I do.
Yeah.
By the way, Van der Veen's just pulled up. He's going off injured. Spurs are falling apart here. So that's where I am at the moment. I think use 1 transfer, get rid of Burn, bring in a player that I want long term. But I will just double check that I'm happy with the rotations of who I'm playing each week as well, because I do know that Newcastle's fixtures aren't that nice after this week, so it's how I do it. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Sorry, I've just clocked what you said. So Van der Ven's gone off and Romero was sent off.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
they're bringing Emerson
Oh,
Royale and Højbjerg on.
we get to watch the second half.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Palmer could feast here, mate. Yeah, he looks done, Van der Ven. Right, let's have a look at your team. What are you looking at the moment, mate?
I have to wait for my screen to load, but to be honest, I can remember most of it. I mean, I'm struggling to use a transfer here. If like Cash and Haaland are fine,
Have you got two?
I've got two. Yeah, this is the first time. I think it might be the first time. It's definitely the first time this season. It might be the first time this year I've had two free transfers. And I've used over half my transfers I've used on defenders because I had so many injuries. And to be honest, it's probably going to be a defender transfer again. I'm most likely going to start Pedro, but obviously I need to decide after the midweek, after the European game, because I could just play Cash over Pedro if,
by the way,
Pedro's fine.
Madison's going off injured as well.
No, he's not. Bloody hell.
Genuinely.
Do you know, I do actually feel for Baker and Adam this week in particular.
This is the game week from absolute hell, isn't it? I mean, Palmer owners are going to be happy, but if you own Madison, Romero, Udogie, Porro,
yeah, that's mad. Yeah, I'm actually almost speechless because obviously I'm not watching it either. But I only own Palmer in this. And Son. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so Pedro. I'm probably going to start him, and I need to do a transfer. So while Cash, if he's fit against Fulham, that's a good fixture. But then ongoing, it's a bit crap. As in the fixtures, I do think they are bad. Yes, there are good ones sprinkled in, but you can do that with a lot of players. You can hold a player because they've got one good fixture in 3 weeks' time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've done it many times, and I mean sometimes it does pay off. You get stuff like Trippier this week, for example, putting up 9 points against Arsenal.
Yeah.
Those things can happen. But so I need to make a move that may weaken my team slightly for this week, but long term it's going to be better. So Cash, I'm 0.1 short of getting Saliba, for example.
Yeah.
I don't think Zinchenko's worth the risk at all.
No.
Because I've already got risks in my team, like as we talked about quite a lot tonight. So then it's like Dunk. He's obviously got that. I mean, it feels as close to a banker as it possible. That Sheffield United at home fixture. I know there's no such thing as a banker, but as close to it as possible. You look every time Sheffield United score, it's always like a screamer.
Yeah.
Or penalty. Like look at Archer against Everton, for example. He had there were a couple of really good goals. One was a Pickford own goal. Because it unfortunately bounced off him. Obviously, I'm going back a few weeks now.
I remember.
Yeah, good times. So yeah, I'm going to be again a bit like you doing a defender transfer. There's just not many defenders I like. There's a lot of cheap defenders.
Yeah,
but not a lot of defenders I like. And I don't want to touch my midfielders now, literally at all. I don't know if you think I'm being dramatic, but Son and Mbumo, Saka, Salah, and Palmer.
I think they're absolutely fine because you're obviously. Yeah. Especially in a couple of weeks' time as well, your transfer going to look fine. Son's somebody that could potentially go in a couple of weeks, especially to free up money and things like that. Obviously, it's fine at the
one
moment.
Thing. Yeah. That is one thing. I mean, yeah, if Spurs are missing a lot of players as well, that could add some weight to it. And yeah, he's pretty much my only expendable cash cow. Well, him and Watkins. What will be interesting is next week what we do with Watkins. If we keep him or we go for someone a bit more fun. And by fun, I mean lower owned.
Yeah. Watkins will be gone soon for me, I think. But the big thing I think you've hit the nail on the head quite a few times tonight is defenders in terms of if you've got Tsimikas, Maguire, and Taylor, three of your defenders there are dodgy in terms of medium term, and it's if you then ditch Cash for like we said, someone else that could be a bit dodgy but is cheap and has a bit of upside straight away. All of a sudden, I know. Don't get me wrong, your midfield looks great, and obviously that's looking good.
No, you're right though.
But it's that defence, and you're just going to be using up too many of those moves later on, I think, on defenders.
And you didn't list Gabriel, who again we think is nailed, but I mean he's not completely nailed. He could. There's just a bit in my back of my mind that says Gabriel could become a problem again. I'm not going to sell. I'm going to keep him. I'm going to keep playing him in good fixtures. Yeah. I just, especially as I've now wasted my wild card. I think we can confirm I did waste my wild card.
Waste it. It's fine.
I mean, I'm probably on less points than I would have been if I hadn't wild carded, and I don't have a wild card.
Yeah.
But apart from that, no, I didn't waste it.
No.
I'm
No, exactly.
bringing in Villa players. The worst thing about the Villa players was I brought in Cash and Watkins. I didn't want to triple up because it's too risky. So
Yeah.
like Diaby then hauls last week, like
Yeah. Yeah, they've done okay. I think Cash has been really disappointing, but like we're seeing, actually the away games aren't as good for them at all. It'd be interesting to see what, like I said, what you do. I think there are some little aspects in your team that maybe you can move, but it's so tough. Like you've got Pedro, who in some respects could be quite an easy sell for someone like Nketiah. But obviously
I can't actually afford that either. So I've got literally nothing in the bank. This is why I said I can't. Like, I'm 0.1 off everything or 0.2 off everything, and I don't think Pedro to Nketiah is definitely not worth my 2 free transfers like both of them. Because I'm gaining maybe a few minutes. Like Nketiah is probably more nailed than Pedro. I mean, it's not beyond doubt, but
the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, but then you lose the penalties.
Yeah.
And you lose the fact I've already got Pedro, so I'd lose 2 transfers. So I don't think it's worth. I think that would be me points chasing. If I wanted to do it, I should have done it 2 weeks ago.
Pedro to Nketiah and Cash to Mitchell, mate. I mean,
do you know the most painful thing on wildcard is the only way I could have got Nketiah over Pedro is if I went for Lascelles because he was 3.9 at the time, and then I'd have Lascelles in my team. Yeah.
Oh dear. Right, let's have a look at Seb's team very, very quickly.
That was a lot of conversation about very, very, very boring moves. Yeah, I was quite looking forward to this week because we both have 2 free transfers.
Yeah, I know. It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Seb's got Raya in goal, Trippier, Cash, Dallo, and Tsimikas at the back. Salah captain, Son, Maddison, Saka, and then Darwin and Watkins up top with Mbumo, who he's benching Mbumo again. Porro and Archer on the bench with Johnston on the bench as well. He hasn't told me what he's thinking of doing. I think, did he do a move last week? And he's only got 1 move to move this week? I can't remember what he did last week.
I'm just looking at his team.
He definitely made a move last week.
He must have brought Tsimikas in last week.
Yeah, because he brought Tsimikas in, didn't he?
Yeah.
So it's what he does. I think he got rid of Burn, maybe, actually.
I'm shocked that he's benching Mbumo. I'll play him over Cash.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see what he does this week. But this is his team, and I know he'll obviously be on Twitter and he'll be telling us. And I'll be doing my stream with him on Friday, if you remember, as well, so you can see what he does end up doing.
Hey, don't forget last time he did, 3 or 4 streams with Mbumo on his bench instead of Burn.
He did.
And then, so he must have done Burn to Tsimikas last week.
Yeah.
And then he didn't even really notice that he'd done it.
No.
So you will have to remind him because he's so happy talking about the XG and Darwin that he doesn't actually check his own team, but does really well.
Someone timestamp this. Make sure you send it to Seb. Right, let's move on.
It wasn't a dig at Seb. I just said he doesn't. He's so helpful. He's busy building screens for us so we can do this. And
bless him.
He puts his remember when he captained Pope in the community team?
Well, community team we don't have this week. So Rank Chaser, I'm assuming, you can only assume they've done really, really badly this week and are now below all of us. Maybe not Rich, but So I'm
not having this. I'm not having this. I was top a couple of weeks ago.
Well, look at you, disgusting. Look, I'm in the top 500k, mate. I won't be after this game, but
not after Palmer's hat trick, mate.
No, exactly. God damn it. People in the chat, chuck us your questions. It's still not half time, by the way. 12 minutes of injury time.
This is Palmer time as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, squeaky bum Palmer time. People in the chat, chuck us your questions. We'll try and answer as many as possible.
He's only like 18 or 19
in the next 5 minutes. Flimmy Joyed Basselhank says, "How close is a Stupinan coming back?"
He's been training. That was the last I saw. I guess we should have talked about him more, actually. But...
Well, I think he's been training, but I don't think he's that close to really being back, I don't think.
No.
No.
So it feels like last season, doesn't it? The Dunk's more nailed than a Stupinan. Because let's say we knew he was in line to start in the game against Sheffield United. Would you fully trust his minutes? And then, like we've talked about all these risky players we've got in our teams, do we then want to risk it with another one?
I tell you what, as well, something we have not mentioned is there are 3 game weeks in 1 week, aren't there, moving forward? So we've got midweek fixtures. So we've got Saturday, Sunday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Saturday, Sunday, haven't we?
This is again why, we're talking about the risky players. Someone like Dunk, sorry to keep mentioning him, but he just feels like he just feels nailed. Like as in he's gonna literally, it's like a Van Dijk or something.
And by the way, there's a massive fight in the game as well. We've missed a hell of a game.
Oh.
Yeah, Colwill getting involved.
It's always Spurs Chelsea, isn't it?
Yeah. I
I've,
tell
I've
you
just
what,
been.
though, one thing I loved about the Arsenal game, it was proper fiery. Like, it was really fun to watch, like how fiery it got. Everybody was getting well into it. Like, you don't see that in Premier League anymore, really.
No, it was. It was quite a fun game
This game's
as a
mental.
neutral. But
So yeah, actually, that's worth it. And maybe that's something where I start thinking Lascelles is better than Livramento in terms of he's going to play every game until Botman's back. And that's quite a few game weeks because we've got those midweek fixtures as well. So maybe it's something that's worth looking at.
it does make a big difference because I guess in that like you said, the 3 games in a week, is Simicast going to play 3 in that week?
Yeah,
Probably not.
no,
I mean,
no.
it's going to be hard to predict it, and we're probably just going to play him, regardless, unless
you're
there's
gonna need
something
your
really
bench.
obvious.
Yeah.
You're going to what? Sorry.
And you're going to need your bench.
Well, exactly. So yeah, this is why, and there just doesn't seem many of these nailed players that are cheap with good fixtures around in defence at the moment.
Yeah.
And I can't really think of many, not like good ones. I mean, maybe that's why Palace defenders are, they're very popular at the moment, aren't they? But I've not really considered one. I couldn't afford one on wildcard. I had to go for Maguire.
Oh, more for you, Rich. More for you.
Yeah, I know. I'd have got the wrong one though, wouldn't I? I wouldn't have gone for Mitchell.
Yeah. Right, Chris Nunn says, why aren't we more positive on Lascelles considering the new injuries? Yeah. James could be off here.
What, injured?
No, elbowing, red card.
I should have turned this game on, to be honest.
This is mental. Yeah, why aren't we more positive on Lascelles? Should we just be getting Lascelles? Like, Botman not back for quite a while.
Didn't we just talk about Lascelles saying about buying him?
Yeah, Chris Nunn's asked it. I actually think maybe we should just be getting him.
I guess there is just that fear, isn't there, that once Botman comes back, then you got to transfer. I guess something that's different this year is there used to be this kind of rule, didn't there? You go for like a cheap, like say you went for a 3.9 million defender or 4 million defender, then they're not nailed anymore, and it's hard to move to someone else.
Yeah.
But it feels like this season there are other options. Although these players that are dirt cheap are gonna rise. So yeah, I am starting to come around to that a little bit as well. I mean, maybe he could be the cheap dunk as it were.
Yeah, potentially.
I mean, it's not quite share, is it? As in, he's 100% nailed.
Yeah, very true.
Even when he was sick last weekend, wasn't he? And he still played.
Yeah. Genial says, do I do Alvarez to Højlund? Because obviously United have Luton. I mean, I've got my answer, but I'll be interested in yours.
No, I mean, so I did have a little look at should I go for Bruno Fernandes? I mean, last week and this week, and it's just there's only 2 good games left now. And then once those get, so you got Luton at home, which is amazing. Everton away is probably harder than we've given them credit for. And then you got Newcastle away, Chelsea at home. So no, I mean, no, I definitely wouldn't. I mean, I'm considering, maybe buying Alvarez for the first time this season.
Yeah, nice.
I
will say as well, saw a stat at the weekend, United have not made a chance. So United teammates of Højlund have not made a chance for him in 2 games now. So in 180 minutes, they haven't created a chance for Højlund. We're just not playing a style of football that is creating chances for the striker at the moment. And he's a young striker as well. He's obviously not going to be getting minutes all the time. Obviously starting a lot, but I think that's a really tough transfer. Even though it's Luton at home, he could do well, but then you've literally got him that week, and the next week after that, like you said, Everton away, they're really good defensively this year in terms of XGC. So I think it's... I wouldn't make that transfer personally.
What do you think about... So just on other Man United players, like... Going for a Man United defender would be one question, and then I guess Bruno Fernandes as well. I mean, would you be say you had 2 free transfers? I'm trying to think who could really go for Bruno right now, because you're not going to go from an Arsenal mid when they've got Burnley at home. I mean, if Maddison's injured, actually.
Yeah, I think Bruno's a fine hold. I don't think I'd be getting him in because it's the same aspect in terms of it's 2 weeks and then what do you do. Defensively, I think even Dallow's tough at the moment because Wan-Bissaka played left back. Wan-Bissaka played right back. Dallow played left back at the weekend, and obviously with Reguilon's back, he's going to prefer playing an actual left back in left back. So I think Dallow's tough because Wan-Bissaka could be taking his minutes and could be taking a start from him as well. So it's tough to pick anybody, to be perfectly honest. I think if you're just looking for 2 weeks, then yes, you could get, you know, a Dallo or a Maguire, but I just don't think I'd be going there personally.
They're one of the favourites for a clean sheet this week, Man
Yeah.
United.
No,
Like
I bet, yeah,
right
because
up
of
there
Luton as well.
against
Yeah.
Luton. Yeah. Also, I mean, if someone had, and I know this is, I don't know how bad the Maddison injury is, if it's just a knock or something more, but let's say you had Maddison, Son, and you've got Saka already. So you've already got your Arsenal mid in play. I mean, would you rather do Maddison, again, if injured, to like Bruno Fernandes, or would you rather go for like a Martinelli or someone else?
No, I think I just don't think I go Bruno. I think I go for one of the cheaper midfield. I'd even go someone like Eze over him for the next like couple of
That's
weeks.
fair. Yeah, we've not mentioned Eze yet.
Yeah, on pens, he came back. Obviously, he got subbed on. Got an assist as well, I think, didn't he?
He did. For
so
who?
I think I think I'd rather go for someone like that personally with the fixtures. Even Bowen, like he's got fixtures coming up that are nice. I think that's good. A few people have mentioned, like I said, Hoyland. I go Darwin over Hoyland every day. Someone here as well said, would you, who was it? Sorry, I better say their name. FPL McColby says, do you prefer Darwin or Wilson?
I mean, that was the debate I was having last week. I think I prefer Wilson.
See, it's Darwin for me. I know it's Darwin, and he misses. The miss at the weekend was ridiculous. But the chances he gets, he genuinely gets so many chances every game.
Does. Do you know what? I can't believe I've never owned him.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to own him, but even then,
either.
I think I would go Wilson because he's got the penalties. Although I guess one bad thing about Wilson is he did get subbed very close to 60 minutes in the game against Arsenal. I mean, obviously that's when Gordon scored literally 70 seconds afterwards.
Yeah.
Like because he actually went central, didn't he, Gordon?
Yeah, I texted you, didn't I, saying, "Oh, Gordon up front." 10 seconds later, goal.
See, this was when my phone was conventionally charging, so I couldn't reply for a while.
Most of the weekend, actually.
Yeah, weird that. Yeah. Not when Mbumo got an assist though.
No, weird. Yeah, yeah, picked it up then, didn't you? Yeah. Anyway, we better stop there so people can actually watch the second half in peace. Chat, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Sorry that we've been a bit distracted. Looks like we've genuinely missed the best half of football of the season.
We've been distracted.
Yeah, I've been very distracted. Rich has been very professional and not actually been watching it, and I've been giving him updates. But thanks so much for joining us. You know, for more hints and tips as to what Crystal Palace defender to get, just drop me a DM. I'll be more than happy to get hold of you. I'm so lucky. I've said it so many times. It was so lucky, but there you go. Rich, thanks so much for joining us tonight, mate. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
I did. You should get a little plaque. I've got the little. Don't know if you can see the little Pookie.
I do. I need something, don't I?
You should get a little Taylor one of those.
Yeah, I should get Cole.
I'll send you the details of my guy.
Taylor.
Oh, did I say Taylor?
You did.
Sorry, I was thinking about that Taylor goal last week. Sorry.
No, I should definitely get one for Mitchell. Yeah, save my game week. Save me from wearing a wrestler's hat. Wrestler's mask even. So thank you so much for all joining us. Like I said, low one tonight, but you know, we don't blame you because this game has been absolutely nuts and we don't blame you for watching that over us tonight. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we will hopefully see you again next week when we've got our lovely Seb back as well. So see you, and I hope your arrow's a little bit greener. Bye-bye.
Come on, Palmer.